Hi there, I am Shelby, a freelance and gig worker of over 15 years, and welcome to the Personal Finance Diaries. Here, we talk real money, savings, debt, and smarter financial decisions. Today, we are breaking down the best cleaning apps to work for, so you know which ones are truly worth your time before you sign up. Because the thing is, having offered my services on a lot of these apps myself, I've noticed that a lot of the platforms kind of lead with the same pitch. You know, they promise flexible hours, great pay, and the ability to work whenever, wherever you want. But it seems like so often there is a major catch buried in the fine print. You know, think fees you weren't expecting, supplies you have to cover out of pocket, or a cancellation policy that leaves you short when the client cancels the morning of their appointment. Basically, the hourly rate that you see on a lot of these platforms versus the number that you actually take home when everything is said and done are very rarely the same. And so in this breakdown, I'm going to cover 5 platforms from the cleaner's side of things. I'll walk you through how each one works, what you keep after your expenses and fees, what it's really like to work for each of these apps, and which one makes the most sense, depending on whether you're building a side hustle, starting a new full-time cleaning business, or you're already an established pro looking to add another revenue stream. So, let's get started. Before we get into each platform, it helps to talk about the 3 different models that these platforms tend to follow. And this is important to understand because each of these models is very different in how they impact your income and your schedule. So first are lead generation platforms. And the way that these platforms work is they connect you with leads, which means clients who need cleaning done. And they charge you a fee each and every time that you connect with a potential client through the platform. But, and it's a big but, they are going to charge you that fee whether you land the job or not. So it's a bit of a risk. Second are gig marketplaces. These are going to match you with clients and handle the payment side of things, but they work very differently from lead generation platforms in terms of how much of your earnings you actually get to hold on to. Third, recurring marketplaces are built around ongoing client relationships. The goal is building a reliable, returning roster of clients rather than you constantly having to be chasing new clients and new bookings. Now, which model is going to be the best fit for you depends on a few things. First, whether you want to set your own rate or you're comfortable with the platform setting your rate for you. Second, how important it is to have a predictable schedule week after week. And third, if you would just prefer to get access to jobs as soon as possible, kind of regardless of your personal schedule. And so as I talk through the 5 apps that we're going to be covering today, I will be clear about which type of model each one uses so that you can make an informed decision about which one is worth your time. First up is TaskRabbit. And TaskRabbit is a gig marketplace, but they do things in a way that's a little bit unique from other gig marketplaces. And that is that you have the ability to set your own hourly rate at whatever you would like, and you keep 100% of what you earn. Instead of collecting a commission off of every single transaction that you do with a client, TaskRabbit instead charges each user about 15% fee. That is how they get paid, and so it doesn't come off of your commission, and I really appreciate that. So now let's take a quick look at their website. So this is the page where you would sign up for TaskRabbit. You become what is known as a tasker. One thing that I also really appreciate here is that cleaning has its own separate category, as you can see right in here, which makes it much easier for potential clients to find you compared to platforms where you can't sort by category. I also appreciate that they give you the option to put in your general location, like the city or town nearest to you, and the task that you want to be listed for, and then you can see an estimate of an hourly rate. But remember what I said earlier about how this number isn't the full story. While it's great that TaskRabbit doesn't collect a commission, you still have to think about your expenses, like gas to get to and from each client, supplies, insurance if you choose to carry insurance. So take this number with a grain of salt. And flexibility is a huge strength here, both in terms of when you work and what you can charge. That's because you have full control over both. The trade-off, though, is consistency. In my experience, most of the bookings on TaskRabbit, even the cleaning bookings, do tend to be one-off bookings, so you're not really building that long-term roster of returning clients the way you might with some of the other platforms that I'm going to get into a bit later. I will say that clients at least have the choice to rebook you if they need more cleaning and they want to work with you again, but they have to elect to do it. There's nothing automatic about it. So when you join as a brand new tasker, you might get off to a little bit of a slow start because you're not going to have any reviews from completed jobs, right? But you can't get reviews until you complete a job. So that can be a bit of a hill to climb. And if you need money like today, this week, then TaskRabbit might not be the best fit for that. So with that said, I would say the biggest pros of TaskRabbit are that first, You set your own rate and you receive it in full. Second, the client pays the service fee rather than TaskRabbit taking a cut off of your earnings. Third, there are no ongoing costs to use the platform, you just have to pay a one-time $25 registration fee. Now, in terms of cons, first is that there is no guaranteed job volume. Some weeks are just going to be slower than others, and there's not really a whole lot you can do about that. Second, as a new tasker, you'll probably start a little bit slow until you have a few reviews on your profile. And third, in my experience, most people booking things with TaskRabbit are looking for one-off cleaning, not for a recurring, regular cleaning service. So, in my opinion, TaskRabbit is really going to be best for side hustlers who want full control of their hourly rate, but don't really need the guaranteed volume of income every single week. It can also be great for experienced cleaners who already have a reputation and want to add another revenue stream quickly. If you are just starting out as a cleaner, know that it's just going to take a little time to build momentum with TaskRabbit, and once you do get those first few reviews, you'll notice it's snowballing faster and faster. Alright, next let's take a look at Handy. So first things first, you'll probably notice this banner here that says Handy Pro is now Angie's Services. That is true, but also as you can see, everything still runs through the Handy website for now, and they're still using the Handy brand name. And, I'll be honest, this page is a little bit simpler than TaskRabbit's page that shows you an estimated hourly rate for the services you want to provide, right? And while it's technically true that you start with no commitment, you're not signing any kind of long-term contract, you do have to consent to a background check and hand over your social before you can even be considered to be listed as a cleaner on Handy, so be aware of that. So, in terms of my experience with Handy, the first thing I noticed is that with this platform, they are the ones who get full control over setting the rates rather than you. That said, this one is still classified as a gig marketplace, just like TaskRabbit is. The way it generally works is first you log in, and after you've been approved to be a pro and all of that, you browse the available jobs. As you browse, you will be able to see exactly what you would be paid for taking on that job and when they want it done so that you can check whether the rate works for you and whether it fits with your schedule. Once the cleaning is completed, you will receive payment via direct deposit within 7 business days, so it's not instant. Early payment is available, which is nice, but you have to pay $1.99 for any early payout you want, so you have to spend money to get your money sooner. And unlike TaskRabbit, Handy does collect a commission off of every single job that you do. My frustration is that I literally read their terms and conditions, and they do not spell out what that commission is anywhere. I don't know if it's a percentage, I don't know if it depends on things like the day of the week or how big the job is. There is no clarity into actually calculating how much of that you're going to get to keep. The average take-home in my area, which is near Seattle, was about $25 an hour, but I know a few cleaners who take home closer to $15 an hour, just depending on what part of the US you're in. In areas where the cost of living is higher, it's normal to charge more, and the opposite is true too. And while I was digging through their terms and conditions, I noticed something very interesting. And that is that in order to be a cleaner with Handy, you have to carry at least $1 million in commercial general liability insurance. And on top of that, you have to go through the process of getting Handy named as an additional insured on your policy. I don't know about you, but as a gig worker myself, I have never had a $1 million insurance policy for anything. And honestly, even if you did have the policy, I know from speaking to other cleaners that getting Handy named as an additional insured on your policy is a process that takes time. It is not overnight. And I want to be clear that that's pretty unusual. I would say just about every other platform I've looked at does not have any kind of requirements. They are connecting you, the independent cleaner, with the independent client. If you have insurance, how much that insurance is, that's kind of your business, is how they treat it. And so, don't get me wrong, insurance is a good thing to have. It protects you, it protects your clients. But again, a $1 million insurance policy is something that kind of makes Handy not an option for a few, smaller, truly independent cleaners, people like me. That said, there are some definite upsides to listing yourself through Handy for cleaning. The first pro is that there is pretty consistent job availability in just about every metro area of the US. If you're somewhat near a major city, odds are you're going to have consistent job options day after day. Second, the platform handles all client acquisition and scheduling, so you're not out there trying to convince anybody, you're not out there comparing calendars, all you're doing is scrolling through options, people who know they want cleaning, and picking the ones that work for you. That is really nice. And the third pro is that in most locations, there is no additional upfront registration cost. There are a few cities where certain laws make it so they do have to charge at something like a $25 registration fee, but for the vast majority of the US, there is not going to be that to deal with. Now, as for the cons of listing yourself on Handy for cleaning, First, you have no control over your hourly rate, and you don't really have any idea what percentage Handy collects as a commission. You can see what you're going to be paid when everything is said and done, but you always kind of wonder just how much of what the client paid did Handy take. You don't get visibility into that. Second, that $1 million commercial liability insurance policy is going to be a big con for a lot of independent cleaners. And third, rates can drop without your input. Handy will do kind of like flex and surge pricing. So that means that sometimes they'll lower the price that they charge for cleaning, and you might just go to look one day and notice, geez, why does every job today pay so much less? It's because they're running a coupon and they didn't even tell you. So with all of this in mind, Handy can be a very decent fit for new cleaners who are taking this seriously, who want clients fast, and who do already have an insurance policy in place. It can also be helpful if you're an established cleaner who doesn't mind not having rate control and you're really just trying to pick up a few new clients to round things out. Just no matter who you are, read the full terms before you sign up and make sure you really understand that insurance requirement. Okay, and up next is Thumbtack, which has a different model than the first two we just covered. Thumbtack is a lead generation platform. Let's take a look. Okay, so as a lead generation platform, when you partner with Thumbtack for your cleaning, you are paying for the opportunity to quote a client and land them for your cleaning services. Now, to be clear, this is different from the last two platforms we just talked about, which come to you with guaranteed jobs that just need someone to do them. So they break down a little bit of how it works right in here. And basically, when a homeowner posts a cleaning request, you pay a fee to talk to them and try to win the job, and you are expected to pay that fee whether you ultimately get the job or not. For house cleaning, communicating with a lead is typically going to charge $5 to $25 per lead. But larger jobs or busier markets near major cities, that cost can go a little bit higher. Speaking from experience and other cleaners on Thumbtack that I've talked to, spending like $200 to $500 a month on talking with leads is about the average. That's what you can expect to budget for. You'll also want to be aware that a service fee of 10 to 20% applies to each job that you do win and complete. So if you complete the work, you're kind of charged twice for that. The good news is that you can request refunds on leads who just never respond to you. There's no guarantee on whether Thumbtack will grant it or not. It's like 50-50 in my experience, but at least there's an option for when you pay for a lead and they just never even get back to you, right? And here on Thumbtack, you have full control over your rates, and you can even negotiate with the client. So if they want to take something off from the cleaning package, or they want to talk about just how to make their budget work for their needs, you actually have the option to do that, which most platforms don't offer, so I'm a big fan of that. Another upside is that across the US, most homeowners already know about Thumbtack. They've heard the name, and they know to go there if they need services that they can't find anyone local that they want to work with. And so it's not some, tiny little unknown platform. People are on it every single day across the country. I would say the biggest thing to know here is that the model really works best if you can already convert well. And by convert, I mean take somebody from being interested in cleaning to being ready to pay you, specifically you, to do it. Let me show you what I mean. So this is an example from the client side of what they see when they're looking for cleaners in their area. You'll notice that not only are there reviews for each of these, but some of them have chosen to list a starting price, and others have just said contact me and we'll figure it out together. And so if you are on here as a brand new cleaner and you have no reviews, it says 0 hires on Thumbtack, 0 similar jobs done near you, usually responds in question mark hours because, again, you've never done a job, you're probably not going to look super attractive compared to these better established ones. And that is why I say it's really important that you have a bit of comfort and experience in converting leads into paying customers, because at least in the early days, you're going to need those sales skills to outmatch these folks. Okay, and so in terms of overall pros for Thumbtack, I would say first, it's great that you have both full control over your rates and the scope of work. You can tell somebody, sorry, I don't do that kind of cleaning, and then you can adjust the price accordingly. It's not just a hard stop if someone isn't a perfect match for the services you offer versus the services they need. Second, there's a very large customer base that spans most of the US. That means that for the most part, no matter where you're located, it's pretty easy to get online and get up and running with Thumbtack. And third, once you do have a strong-looking profile with reviews and things, it gets so much easier to convert all of these new clients into long-term returning clients so that you aren't scrambling quite as often to fill your books. Now, in terms of cons, first, that 10 to 20% service fee on every job you win. That's pretty major. Second, the fact that you also pay per lead regardless of the outcome. If someone responds to you, but then they ultimately go with another cleaner, that's not eligible to get your lead fee refunded. And third, if you're a new cleaner without existing reviews on any platform, no Google reviews, etc., then it can be kind of hard to climb the hill to where you are making a steady income. So all in all, I would say Thumbtack is really going to be best for full-time pros. Specifically, pros with strong close rates and existing reviews. So with all of this in mind, I would say Thumbtack is really going to be best for full-time, experienced pros who have strong closing skills and existing reviews. It can be especially effective if you're looking to grow your client base without spending on traditional advertising. Okay, next up is Care.com, which uses the recurring marketplace model. And beyond that, it is a little bit different than all of the other platforms in this roundup. This website spans a lot of home care-based services, as you can tell from the website Care.com, right? So think childcare, senior living care, pet care, house cleaning, things like that. And the way it works is you create a profile and apply for the job postings, rather than the platform automatically matching you up. It really is more of a matching service than a traditional booking platform. And on this page, they've got a little bit about what you can expect. They've also got a few examples for the type of jobs that they offer, so you can see the rates that people are paying, when it starts, all of those kinds of things before you sign up. Beyond that, I can tell you from experience that Care.com is built off of long-term relationships rather than one-off gigs. The platform charges clients a subscription fee to use it, which means they do not take a cut of your earnings. So you will set your own rates, you'll negotiate directly with clients, and you even handle payment outside the platform in most cases. I don't say that to freak you out, it's very simple. It's just that no client of yours is ever going to be putting their credit card info into Care.com to pay you. That's not how it works. Another thing I love about Care.com is that getting started is very low cost. Their free basic tier lets you build your profile, complete the required background check, and that's going to run you about $15 to $20 per year and is an expense paid by you every year. And then you can start applying to postings. The catch is that on that free basic tier, clients have to reach out to you first. You cannot reach out to them unless you're paying for a membership. And so that means that if you want to stick with the basic free tier for a while, the profile you put together has to really talk about who you are, what you do, the benefits of working with you, and kind of sell that potential client on choosing you before you ever even get to speak with them. I will also say that working on Care.com is definitely a slower ramp up than the gig marketplaces we talked about earlier, so be aware of that if fast cash is the #1 priority. But if you're a cleaner who really wants to prioritize building a small, loyal roster of returning clients, and you're not so concerned with chasing new bookings and new clients, then the slower, more personal pace of Care.com is actually going to work in your favor over time. So all in all, the biggest pros of Care.com are that first, you get full control over setting your rates. Second, the platform takes zero cut of your earnings. And third, it's very well suited to building long-term, lasting client relationships. Now, in terms of cons, if you go for the free basic tier, you are not able to reach out to potential cleaning clients. Your profile is going to have to be designed in such a way that it is strong enough to get people to contact you. Second, it's slower to generate consistent work than gig marketplaces because the clients here are not in a rush the way they are on platforms like TaskRabbit. And third, Care.com is not just for cleaners, right? People also use it to find nannies, au pairs, other types of in-home care. While users are able to filter for what they're looking for, it can be a little bit messy and it can be a little bit harder for clients to find you here than it would be for them to find you on a platform dedicated to just cleaners. So I would say that Care.com is really best for side hustlers and full-time cleaners whose top priority is building a small, very loyal roster of returning clients. If you prefer steady relationships with a few families over a high booking volume, then Care.com is a great spot to start. And most of these platforms do not prevent you from listing yourself on more than one platform. So if you wanted to, for example, create a profile on TaskRabbit and on Care.com to kind of balance out the more urgent bookings with the people who are looking for a long-term cleaner, that might be a smart move. Okay, and last but not least is Homeaglow. Homeaglow, like Care.com, is a recurring marketplace. So it pairs independent cleaners with clients who are looking for regular, recurring bookings. With Homeaglow, you can set your own hourly rate, you keep 100% of it, and that includes tips. And so now let's take a look at the apply page. So this is Homeaglow's apply page for cleaners. And like TaskRabbit, you'll notice that they will give you an estimate of what you can earn before you get started. And they even give you a little slider so you can say how many hours a week you want to work. Now, there is also no registration fee and no cost to you for the background check. Homeaglow covers both of those when you get started with them as a cleaner, and I appreciate that little attention to detail. And I will say that while in my, general area of Seattle, so the $25 to $28 an hour is going to be more common for higher cost of living areas. In areas that are a little more reasonably priced, that's going to be more like $18 to $23 an hour. I will also say that I noticed that most other cleaners on the platform price themselves between $20 and $30 an hour. If you go much more than that, you're not really staying competitive, and clients are just more likely to pick someone who is priced in that kind of medium range. As for getting paid, you will be paid every week via direct deposit. And so for me, where Homeaglow really stands out from other platforms is that they have a recurring booking feature, and I just haven't really seen anything similar to it on any of the other platforms I covered today. The way it works is that clients who want the same cleaner every week will simply rebook you for their recurring cleaning. Because Homeaglow doesn't really do one-off cleanings, like they offer it, but it's extremely rare that anybody books that. The vast majority of clients are signing up for 3, 6, 9, or 12 months of cleaning. That means that you have access to these clients who already know they want cleaning for the next few months. They already know they're going to need to book someone for it. And so Homeaglow makes it really easy for the user to say, I want that same person to come and clean my house again. And at least in my experience, as you build that recurring roster, you'll find that your income is more predictable, your tips are more predictable, and more of your clients will be comfortable letting you work while nobody is home. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't mind socializing with clients sometimes, but it's really nice when you can just get in your zone and you're there by yourself, right? I think most cleaners would agree that when you're able to work by yourself or with your team without anybody who lives in the house home, the cleaning itself is easier and gets done faster. And so the overall pros with Homeaglow are that first, you set your own rate and you keep 100% of it plus tips. Second, the background check, the cost of that is covered by the platform, so you don't pay anything out of pocket to join. Third, the app makes it truly, literally easy for clients to rebook you by name, which means that it is much easier for you to build predictable recurring income. Now, as for cons, first, if you wanted to price yourself higher than $30 an hour, you're probably not going to get much business on Homeaglow just because at that point you are above the average price. Second, if you have to cancel the cleaning on short notice, even if it's an emergency and even if the client is okay with it, Homeaglow will give you an automatic 1-star review to try to prevent that from happening again. And that can really impact you when you're new and don't have a lot of reviews yet. And the third is that when clients cancel, there is very rarely any kind of, payment or consolation for you. If it's within like a few hours, truly last minute, then yes, Homeaglow will kick you a little bit of money. But if it's like, I think it's more than 6 hours out, then you just don't really get anything for them canceling, and that kind of takes away from the nice predictability of your income. So it's kind of a two-way street. Be aware of that. So with that in mind, I think that listing yourself on Homeaglow can be really smart, whether you are a side hustler, a full-time pro with lots of experience, or new to the full-time cleaning world. If you prefer one-off deep cleaning gigs, Homeaglow doesn't really cater to that quite as much. And as with Care.com, if you want to explore listing yourself on both TaskRabbit and Homeaglow to kind of get the best of both worlds, that is totally an option and worth exploring. So, all of this said, if I were you, here is how I would be thinking about these cleaning apps in order to pick the absolute best fit. If controlling your hourly rate matters most, and you can handle a little bit of unpredictability with your income, then TaskRabbit is going to be the clearest winner. If your top priority is the opposite, you want that consistent job volume, but you're not so concerned about setting your own hourly rate, Handy is where I would point you towards next. If you want to build an independent long-term client base, and you don't mind having to pay for the leads that you respond to, then Care.com, I forgot what it was, Thumbtack. Sorry, let's try again. Thumbtack. If you want to build an independent long-term client base and you don't mind having to pay for the leads that you respond to, then Care.com and Thumbtack are worth a look. And if you want recurring income as a cleaner without having to do any of your own client outreach, where the platform brings clients to you, and you then build your roster of returning clients over time, Homeaglow is the #1 choice. But no matter which platform you choose, the key here is going to be really digging into the expense math before you commit to any one platform. Because at the end of the day, the number that matters most is not really the hourly rate that each of these platforms advertises you being able to earn. Instead, focus on how much you're going to have left in your pocket after you pay for fees, supplies, gas, and everything else. When you do that math from the get-go, it's going to be pretty clear pretty fast which one of these platforms is the right pick for your cleaning business. And with that said, thanks for hanging out with me today on the Personal Finance Diaries. If you found this video useful, don't forget to subscribe, because around here we are all about making smarter money moves. See you next time.